Okay, so let's jump into this video and talk about our general settings that are going to be working with in our TunerStudio software. So we're going to be finding we have a bunch of things that we have to define before we do any actual tuning in our TunerStudio software. So these are going to be things that allow the Megasquirt to understand certain sensors or certain features that we want to use so that it can go in and calculate our fuel and ignition timing right. So without further wait, let's jump into the video so we can check this out. Okay, so let's get started here. We're going to be taking a look at our general settings setup for our Megasquirt. So this is going to be defining a bunch of very important information for the Megasquirt to start its calculations for control. So let's jump into that right now so we can take a look. So under basic load settings, we're going to be finding this general settings. We're going to click on this. It's going to open up our window here. Now the very first thing we're going to be finding under general settings is going to be this Barrow sensor settings. Now at this point, we haven't talked about our barometric sensor, but is going to allow us to reference our Barrow pressure at whatever elevation we're going to be at. And what we're going to be finding as we change our barometric pressure, we're going to be finding the fuel demand will change. So if you're in a location such as Colorado, and you're going to be going from Denver, and you're going to be going out of Denver, away from the mountains, and down towards sea level, you're going to be moving from something like 5,000 or 6,000 feet of elevation all the way down to 0 feet of elevation, approximately sea level. And what you're going to be finding is you have a huge change in fueling for the engine. And if you don't reference your barometric pressure, you're going to find that your tune is going to be inconsistent as you run it at different elevations. So what we want to do here is definitely utilize a barometric pressure sensor. Now, in every situation, I normally always try to wire in a barometric pressure sensor to my Megasquirt. I think it's very, very useful. It's going to make your fueling much more accurate, and you don't have to worry about having the fuel delivery or fuel demand change as you change in elevation. So you're able to drive your vehicle at any racetrack throughout the country, and you won't have to worry about the tune or the fuel specifically changing and having to be constantly updated. So what we want to do here for our barometric correction, we can see we have two different choices. We see none, which disables the Barrow correction. We see initial map reading. This is going to be referencing what the map sensor reads when we key the ignition on. That's going to be if we don't have a separate barometric pressure sensor wired in. Now I normally always, if I'm going to use this feature, I use two independent sensors here. And what that's going to mean is I have my map sensor for my load input, and then my barometric pressure sensor that's going to go in and tell me what that Barrow pressure reference is. Now we want to have these two sensors wired in because it's going to allow us to utilize when we move down in here to our primary fuel load. When we look at the actual fuel calculation type, we're going to be seeing that we can select this very specific fuel algorithm that I find to be much more accurate and much more useful for doing my tuning with. So when I selected this, we can see that it has settings change that require a power cycle to take effect. So that means that first of all I have to have a burn, so I have to burn this to my ECU, and then I have to go and cycle my power. And that's going to go ahead and take effect this change. So first I'm going to hit burn. We can see once I've done that, this need burn disappears. I'm going to go ahead, turn my power off. We're going to be seeing that it's going to be showing me here in a second. I'm offline because I've powered off my car. Now I'm going to power my vehicle back on. Wait a second, and we can see now I'm back online. So that change has taken effect. We're going to be seeing that the real-time Barrow port, now that I've selected this two independent sensor option, it's going to want to know where it's expecting to see the barometric pressure sensor that I've added in. So in this case, we can see we have a couple of different choices here. I have added it to my spare ADC on my Megasquirt. So depending on where you've wired your Barrow pressure sensor in, you're going to have to select that input port or input pin location to your Megasquirt.